Today, we're diving into the recovery framework, why rest days are actually training days. And I cannot stress this enough client after client, person after person. When I'm working with somebody, they see that days off or these rest days are instances where they do nothing. And as a professional athlete, as a performer, as someone who's in the nitty gritty of it, I cannot stress how important it is to understand that rest days are just as crucial, if not more crucial than exercise days. That's what we're diving into today is hopefully changing that script with you and giving you the opportunity to reevaluate your own program and hopefully interject a rest day or two to mandatorily see those gains. So without further ado, let's share the screen. All right, so the recovery framework, why rest days are actually training days. The athletes who perform the longest aren't the ones who train the hardest. They're the ones who recover the best. And if you look at any top level athlete, they can do these incredible things on the field. They can go well beyond their personal limits or beliefs because they also spend hours doing the hot cold therapies, doing the massage work, acupuncture, chiropractics, deep tissue work on the ground, stretching, mobility, movement. Rest and recovery does not mean sit on the couch and eat Cheetos. Rest and recovery is an active exercise. We just have to start to delineate, differentiate what that means and how to incorporate it into your everyday, right? What I want you to start to understand through this whole process is that recovery is not cheating, right? Most people treat rest days like cheating. And there's a bit of a psyche that we have to break is it's not cheating. It's just allowing your body time to catch up, right? So 3 to 5 times, when we look at the studies, 3 to 5 times injury rate. So higher injury rates with chronically under recovered athletes. We see a 70% growth hormone release through deep stages of recovery. And that's like sleeping wise. And then we see 48 hours. And this is what peak muscle protein synthesis window post training looks like. Meaning, when we train, we have a 48-hour window of the optimum amount of protein intake conversion to that healing protocol, right? Because let's face it, the way this works is we go into the gym, we want to create hard stressors on the body, and then we want to allot time for the body to catch up. So we put stress, catch up, put stress, catch up. Where most people kind of miss the boat is it's put stress, kind of catch up, put stress, kind of catch up, put stress, kind of catch up, put stress, kind of, and all of a sudden this gap grows. That's where we see chronic injury. We see tendons and ligaments start to go. We see instability problems. We see stress, like psychological stress, start to build. We see hormonal imbalances start to happen, all sorts of stuff. And the big problem is the fact if we understand stress, we understand how to tax the system, but we don't understand necessarily how to allow the body time to realistically catch up, right? And there's a, quote unquote, the more training fallacy. And this is optimal load starts to find what's called functional overreaching, right? And this is recoverable with rest. So when we train optimally, that's what you can do really well. Functional overload is that step beyond. That's where we actually grow. Think about doing 3 sets of 10. Most people pick up their 15-pound dumbbells, they're rocking them out, But when I get to that ninth and 10th rep, it is still somewhat doable. I'm a little tired, but I'm not really challenged. Functional overreaching is thinking about failing on maybe the 10th rep on the last set, maybe the ninth and 10th rep. Overtraining syndrome is weeks and months of this without ever taking time to allow the body a chance to heal. And so your body is always in that state of trying to grasp one more straw. And basically it becomes a hazard, right? The athletes who train 5 days and recover deliberately will outperform the athlete who trains 7 days and recovers haphazardly. This is every single time, not in the long run. And I got a little nitty gritty here with training versus adaptation so you can kind of see the actual theory, the philosophy, and understand why we're doing this, right? So what actually happens? Training sessions take hold and we see this tissue breakdown happen within a 6-hour window. From there, it kind of leap forwards in terms of recovery. This is that peak protein synthesis time frame through 48 hours. That's your adaptation window. You have, and it's a degradation scale, but you have a 48-hour window to optimize and perform your best. And so what we want to see is a little bit of a breakdown and then accelerate, and then a little bit of a breakdown and then accelerate more. And if we can do that consistently, we'll start to see growth. You'll see strength gains. You'll see, performance gains. You might run faster, farther, more stamina, things like that. The training, right? We see tears, glycogen depletion, cortisol spikes, nervous system load, inflammatory response. This is all natural and normal. These are kind of metabolic reactions to putting yourself under stress. As long as it's reasonable, it is eustress or good stress. Our adaptation phase is where that protein synthesis comes into play, like using protein to create new tissue. We see glycogen resynthesis. We're basically refilling the muscles for the pot, right? Glycogen is converted into ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That's the stuff we use for energy. So when you want to sprint, pick up the big weight, the ATP is the thing that sparks it forward. We see cortisol normalization, neural efficiency gains. You get better. You're rewiring pathways. You start to learn how to move efficiently. And lastly, mitochondrial biogenesis. So basically, we refreshen the mitochondria, which is the nuclear power plant. Eighth grade biology teacher would be happy that I still remember mitochondria because it's the power plant, right? So key insights here. We want to go back to training before you've adapted and you're not adding to your progress. So that's the goal post, so to speak, is you want to get back to that state, right? But you're interrupting the process to grow a little bit farther. So after 35, this window is longer and the cost of cutting it short is higher. And basically, the frequency at which you can duress yourself starts to expand out. And that's okay. You're allowed, but it's important to remember that that is happening. So I threw a little test in here. I love my self-assessments if you've been paying attention to our channel. Think about some things here. How many of these did you check? If you're at 4 to 6, your body is telling you something. You need to listen. If you're 2 to 3, it's warning. If you're less than 2, you're in green. Is your performance declining? Is your sleep quality dropping? Is your soreness lasting beyond 72 hours? It is not a bad thing to have soreness last for a little while, but it is important to notice how long it's lasting and how consistently it is. Do you have elevated resting heart rate? That's a big one for me. Are you irritable? Are you getting sick more frequently? These are just some major signs of what you would consider overtraining. And it's really funny. I see two different types of clienteles on the floor. One is your high performer, and the job of the coach is to pull them back. The other person is the underperformer. Your job of the coach is to be the stick, is to get them to do more. And the goal is finding that middle ground, that balance area for each person. Everyone is different. I am an overachiever. I will be in the gym 6 days a week saying I'm not doing enough. I need a coach to yell at me. Meanwhile, let's say Johnny doesn't want to get off the couch and he needs a coach to be like, hey, give me 3 days a week at bare minimum and you can get it done. You're trying to hold me back to 3 days a week. We're trying to get him to 3 days a week. Does that make sense? When we talk about recovery, I kind of wanted to give something a little bit more structural for you in terms of visualization. So I made a four pillar recovery framework. Right? We have sleep, active recovery, nutrition, and stress management. They kind of come together to create the concept of recovery, and we have recovery-based performance. When we think about sleep, this is not only just that you're sleeping, this is the time frames of your wake-sleep cycle, how well you're in deep sleep. Are you feeling refreshed when you wake up? Things like that. Highly recommend a Whoop or an Oura Ring. I have blogs as well as videos about them as well for you to kind of dive into a little bit more. I highly recommend you check them out on our channel. When we think about nutrition, we're diving into not only that you are eating, and yeah, vegetables, and yeah, chicken. Are you getting the right nutrients to not only perform in the day, but also downshift at night? That's why we create a vibrant sleep, because the answer is most people aren't, and that's okay. I'm going to help coach you through nutrition without any supplementation, but know that supplementation is there. That's the reason for it. We think active recovery, and the whole point of this is making a mistake, is people think I need rest days, I'm going to sit on the couch. No, active recovery is 20 to 40 minutes at 50 to 60% max heart rate. I also like to say 50 to 60% max load. You can go back into the gym, let's say you just did a heavy leg day. You can do the same leg movements at 50 to 60%, 2 sets. And it's considered active recovery. You're flushing the body. You're getting things to move just like a pump in the doctor's office, like a cuff. And you're allowing that blood flow to get in and out of your system. It's massive. You could go for a swim, go for a walk. You could sit in a sauna, 50 to 60% max heart rate. That's the goal. Lastly, stress management. Now, Cortisol is catabolic, it breaks down muscles. Massively important to remember. How do you manage your cortisol? What are you doing each day tactically to help lower those levels? Each person is going to be a little bit different. Your body is going to react differently, and that's okay. Um, but I think it's important to just pose the question of, are you managing? So I kind of dove into these a little bit more. You'll be able to pause and look at these and read all the lines, but let's talk sleep, right? Pillar one, we got growth hormone peaks in non-REM sleep. Um, Muscle protein synthesis continues overnight. It is not just a while you're eating. We think motor pattern consolidation. That's where, and when we're sleeping, our body is thinking about the things that we did through the day and how to become more efficient, because at the end of the day, our body wants to conserve energy. It wants to do the littlest it can. So it's going to find a pathway to disperse as little energy as possible. Lastly, our cortisol resets, right? It's important to remember that sleep is the absolute paramount to recovery, not the modalities you're doing. Yeah, nutrition is pretty important too, but I would argue that sleep is the number one most important thing. Master your recovery by mastering your sleep. Nutrition. Cortisol curve is up here at the top, thinking the optimal versus the under recovered person. Majorly important. And we can sit and talk nutrition for days, optimizing for recovery. Some people talk about a caloric jump. Some people talk about a protein jump. Some people talk about different supplementation on recovery days. I like to keep things the same so my body doesn't have to guess and it knows what it's getting. My protein is stapled in, my calories are stapled in, my supplements are stapled in. This is what I'm doing on rest days. This is what I'm doing on work days. It doesn't matter. This is me. Some nutritionists might coach differently, and I respect that. And if you've been told that, I respect that. This is the way I do it. I already talked about active recovery in terms of getting you to do things. And then lastly, our cortisol stress management. You can do breath work. I talked about doing some sauna hot things, doing some, um, you know, acupuncture, cryo. I'm not a big fan of cryo, but cold therapies, anything to the body to help regulate that stress response. Anything is good. I will take it all. However, there are some better than most, and I would always recommend soft tissue management, so trigger point with like a lacrosse ball or massage or things like that, and then some form of movement as your rest and recovery day. Okay, let's talk about a little protocol for a rest day, hour by hour. Let's make this a Sunday, right? I don't care what day you do. Maybe Wednesdays you have off work and that's Wednesdays your recovery. Great. I want you to try and get these things done every time you're resting. First things first. Sunlight, no screens within 30 minutes of waking up. You're outside within 60 minutes. Secondly, high protein breakfast, we're thinking 35 grams, right? And that's at minimum. Third, 20 to 40-minute walk in the middle of the day, maybe a little mobility in there as well. All day, you're getting at least 100 ounces of water. Now, that's kind of like a baseline because people don't like to do math, but I also like the real number is half your body weight in ounces. But for most people, 100 ounces will be plenty. Lastly, make sure you're getting your wind down protocol done in the evening, 60 to 90 minutes before bed. I said 8 o'clock here. It's up to you. But this is a great little recovery protocol. It includes everything you need to do, other than making sure you're getting the rest of your protein through the rest of the day. We like to talk about habit stacking. It's a huge thing in the world today. Compounding recovery is its own habit stack, right? And is the most underutilized tool in fitness. We need to think not only um, what we do today in terms of recovery, but every time we're recovering, right? 20 years of coaching, right? That's what I've been doing. The people who are still performing at 50, 55, and 60, right? So after 20 years, they aren't the ones who train the hardest. They are the ones who recovered the most. And it's years of focusing on this. I cannot stress that enough. We talk longevity, we talk pain management. It is a compounding effect. Think of it like investing into your body. You put 20 bucks away into your 401k, you put 20 minutes into your body in recovery. That's what we're thinking, right? And now the tool, right? And this is a little take home tool. You can screenshot it if you need to. Um, I approach sleep and what I call the triple pathway approach. This is based off of supplementation. So if you're looking for things to add into your diet and things like that, pay attention to this slide. But also, when we do downregulate the nervous system, downregulate the body, we want to think in this three pathways. First is the circadian regulation. This is the wake and rise cycle of your body. Secondly, it's stress reduction. How are you reducing stress? And then thirdly, neurotransmitter balance, actually helping your body regulate what's going on internally. Simple day to day tactics can help with this. Going to bed on time, waking up on time, breath work throughout the day. Um, Neurotransmitter balance is a little bit more nutritional. However, things like a good wind down routine is going to help with that, right? But we also need to think about what's going on inside of our body. Something like a phytomelatonin or a tart cherry for a natural wind down, right? To serotonin uptick. We think magnolia bark or L-theanine, right? Lastly, 5-HTP. All of that in terms of nutritional goes along with our habits and gets us to sleep better. That's the paramount of our recovery, but it goes so much deeper. And I hope I stressed that enough in the presentation today. You can start tonight. For the love of God, you can start tonight. And it is the easiest thing to do. Some sunlight, protein, your walks with a little bit of mobility, track it, and make sure you have a hard, 60 to 90 minutes to wind down and finally shut down for the end of the day. Hope this helped you a little bit. Hope this has been productive. Make sure you check out the rest of our blogs on the Live Vibrant website. Go through the rest of YouTube. We've got some great coaching in there, and I'll see you on the next one.